All right, what are we talking about here, guys?
Hey, welcome back.
Welcome back. Yeah.
Yeah, this one actually takes place before the other one, but not that it matters. Continuity or whatever.
Know, it's just
Fourth wall.
Oh yeah.
Fourth wall.
Great intro though.
Thank you.
What's going on, guys?
Thank you.
What's up?
Not much, man. It's good to be back.
Danny pulled in a little.
Yeah.
You want me to pull it in or
pull it in a little bit? I'm a little nervous next to him. But
Come on, give it the old honey jerk.
the generic jerk for $14.95 on sale today.
No, that was $12.88. The honey jerk was $14.95.
Oh, it's the price plus.
It was what was the honey jerk? How many wings did you get? 10 jumbo wings?
Yeah, that's what I got. But then underneath that,
with the new honey jerk.
They had the honey jerk spicy wing.
Yeah.
10 jerks for 14.
Ooh, that extra.
So what are we talking about today?
It's kind of
What's
like
the
an
theme?
open forum of ghost stories, experiences, anything in our life.
All right. So we're just winging this shit.
Yeah. Doesn't even necessarily have to be ghosts.
Yeah,
it's
it could be
crazy.
anything.
This is intentionally
anything.
winging it.
Did I tell you about the squirrel and the eye? No, I'm just kidding.
No, I never heard of that story before. Can you tell it
Listen
again?
to the other episode,
I heard you might hear in the future
Yeah.
talk about that story.
Yeah. I don't know. Am I in the past? Am I in the future? I don't know where the fuck I am right now.
You know what? How about we get into it next episode?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I want to hear all about that squirrel.
Yeah, we let our
Fuck that
listeners in.
squirrel.
We when we get together, we try to record a couple of episodes, and sometimes we lose focus on what time.
Yeah,
for
like
squirrel.
when I spoil the horror bracket before we actually drop the horror bracket.
You know, Stan, you really got it. Squirrel!
Yeah. When did you throw that rock at the squirrel's eye? When was that?
Yeah.
Was that last episode?
He had a concussion, too. We didn't even get into that.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. Yeah. The future listeners will hear that at another date and time.
All right, yeah, no more. You don't want to spoil the story.
I don't want to spoil anything. But
unless the ghost of the squirrel came back.
But let's talk about some scary shit that happened in our lives.
Yeah.
I write things down.
Yeah. Go through your fucking massive
Let me go through my
In case
notes.
anyone knows, when I was a kid, I wasn't afraid of the dark. That's why I hated fucking Skinamarink. So one of these guys might have something about being afraid of the dark.
Look at that.
And there we have it.
Look at
dear
that.
listeners.
In the first 2 minutes, we reference a future episode and a past episode.
I figured we could just get it out of the way.
Yeah.
You know?
Usually, dear listeners, it's usually at the end where we're like, hey, great episode, stay creepy. And Joe will kind of slide in that, Skinamarink sucks. Fuck Skinamarink. But he kind of blessed us with right out of the gate. 2 minutes in.
There's supposed to be a ghost in there or some shit. I don't fucking know.
There is. There's an evil entity that's upstairs.
It's an evil entity. It's called the Skinamarink.
It's called the phone.
Yeah.
And it's a chair.
Not to be
It's a chair upside down. It's a Lego on the floor.
Again, we got to do a double feature, that and the Babadook.
Fuck
I
the
mean,
Babadook,
they're both like right there on
Jesus.
par.
I feel bad for Kevin in Skinamarink. Like, the kid in the Babadook, he could have fucking got killed 579 times in a row. So.
Kevin, he hated you. He didn't feel bad for you, Kevin.
No, I did.
One-eyed Kevin, not two-eyed Kevin.
Fuck Kevin.
Yeah. I'm all right with two-eyed Kevin.
Yeah, two-eyed Kevin's cool.
So who wants to go first, man? What experience did you guys have growing up? Any paranormal? Any like what the fuck moment was that? Scenarios in your lives?
You know what? As somebody recently referenced, it's a story of my life.
I drive all night. Our listeners are probably like, what the fuck is this dude? He's always singing.
Right.
What's
a
51-year-old
singing One Direction.
Hey, I'm fucking 12 at
That's a
heart,
great
man.
song.
I was gonna say if this is as bad as the midlife crisis gets, then I think it's a win.
Yeah.
You don't want to be like me when you're 51. Fuckers.
Yeah.
You damn kids.
You damn kids, get off my lawn.
He's pissing every 5 minutes.
It's like Night of the Demons.
Oh, no, that's
when the
me
girl
since,
scared
like,
him and he
45.
dropped the bag. So you damn kids, I'll put razor blades in the apples later.
Is this poop?
He called the shit poop.
It's poop again.
Is this poop? Is that poop? You shit on my house again?
Yes. That one will forever be in our episodes as well.
Oh shit! All right.
Fuck, this episode's already become like a clip show.
Oh man, yeah. We're just wild. We're we
You remember the time?
We go off in crazy direction. Dan, speaking of, tell us about fucking what's her name? Ella? Elsie? Who's the fucking lady you met? That liked your tattoo. What's her
I
name?
forget her name.
Fucking Acme Elsa.
Elsa.
It was Ethel.
Ethel.
Ethel's an 84-year-old horror nerd.
I
Yeah.
went to the Acme. I went to the Acme
This
today.
is a scary event. This is one we should tell.
So I'm
If
in
you're going to be
line.
talking about Ethel, you got to be respectful. It's the Acme.
It's the Acme.
It's the Acme. Yeah.
It's multiple syllables. I didn't intend to.
I went to the Acme today.
Yeah. And Ethel was. I get in line and she's like, "Is that the girl from The Exorcist on your arm?" I'm like, yeah, yes it is. Oh,
Is Ethel related to Bill Cosby?
Is that
the girl from the...
My wife, Camille.
Would you like to touch my pudding pop? Yeah. So Ethel was nice. How often I go out? I mean, I don't recall getting a lot of like comments in regards to certain things, but I was impressed that she knew it was ragging on my
she knew
elbow.
her horror shit, man.
And I have Pennywise.
Yeah, and even Ethel said liquid nitrogen was better than the fucking shower
Oh,
scene.
here we go.
And
she
that
was like
Skinamarink
40
was a
when the shower
masterpiece.
scene
Here we
came
go,
out, and she
yeah.
still hated
And then
it.
she tripped over a fucking Lego and broke her hip.
Damn.
The story of Ethel.
She saw Psycho in all its glory. She knows. It sucked.
Maybe you read in the paper that Ethel got stabbed in the shower.
Yeah.
You never know.
She was married to Anthony Perkins.
No, but listen, kudos to the old lady at the
Of
Acme
course,
for
yeah.
knowing her horror shit. We should
Absolutely.
invite
Now, if
her.
she would have said, "Yo, what up with Art the Clown?" then I would have
Yeah.
been hyped.
I was just
Yeah.
going to say, like, yeah, that would have been
Yeah.
great. Is that the Arthur?
Yeah.
Tell me what. Listen, I'll wear short sleeves and I'll show my Art the Clown tat and I'll like flaunt it out and see if she knows.
Hey, Ethel.
Well, you do like visiting the Acme, so
I do
you
like
might
going
run
to the
into an
Acme.
Ethel
Yeah.
anytime soon.
Yeah, it's
You buy-
I'll be looking at their badges. Are you Ethel?
Are you the guy that comes in and buys $175 worth of creamer?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you're that guy that fills up the whole cart of creamer. The fuck you got going on?
We got a whole refrigerator at our work.
Yeah, with just creamers. Everybody
just
likes
fucking
coffee.
creamer.
There's
Yeah.
one refrigerator.
There's one
just
refrigerator the size of mine filled with
solely
fucking
devoted to
creamer.
creamers.
You gotta
Every
have
fucking
a variety.
creamer
You can't just
imaginable.
have hazelnut every day.
Every creamer.
Yeah,
You need a different flavor every day.
originally it was because, like, a long time ago, I dabbled in the whole keto thing, and when it came to coffee, I was just trying to figure out, like, all right, how can I get as little sugar as possible? That's when I realized how much fucking sugar's in milk. And then I looked at heavy cream, and it was like, oh, no sugar. All right. And ever since then, like, I totally bailed on the keto thing, but yeah, now I just buy heavy whipping cream and just put a couple drops of that in there.
Oh, okay.
Not to mention on top of it, like, yeah, the shelf life. Like, you buy it and you get like 2 months out of it before it starts to go bad.
Yeah.
It's gone by then. Anyway.
I am a big
Oh, yeah,
pumpkin
long gone.
spice creamer fan. Huge. Love it.
You're one of them
And-
white bitches.
Yeah, I guess I am one of those white
I wish they
bitches.
would sell it in like April.
Exactly, Joe.
Like
That's
I don't need
why
it to be October for me
I
to enjoy
fucking
pumpkin
It
buy
spice.
needs to be
the
12 months a
entire-
year.
Yeah.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank
I
you.
buy the entire fucking store out.
And
Like
Ethel
my
will
and
be
even
so
my
pissed.
mother-in-law will buy creamers. So like I stock up. I have pumpkin spice till fucking May.
This is the
May.
scariest story yet.
It's gonna be
Yeah,
May.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
It's
the
even more
next
scary.
episode is going to be.
No, it's even scarier that I spend $4,000 a year in fucking coffee for a warehouse
Ooh,
of people,
yeah.
and including creamer.
I only
I've
drink
already
one a
totaled that
day.
up.
There's some that have 5 minimum.
Oh, I drink a lot of coffee. I'm like a fucking.
Do you fill up the
nut.
fucking water too in the Keurig?
That was
Yeah,
a
too many
suggestion.
times.
That was a suggestion.
All right, here's something else that's scary. I just recently found out. You know that Death Wish coffee?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw somebody post about it and was talking about how they just recently came off like an addiction of that because, yeah, it's just too much caffeine. and
Someone
all.
brought that in once.
So I went and looked it up. So I found out one of these monsters is equivalent to like 2.5 cups of coffee. 1 cup of this Death Wish coffee is like 3 of these.
But here's the question: did Charles Bronson drink it?
You know what? I lost touch with him when it
Yeah.
came out. So
Did he know Ethel?
He may have known. Yeah, they're all telling you everything exists in the fucking multi-universe,
Yes,
man.
I'm
It's
telling
all
you.
it's all put together. The coffee, the fucking everything. Ethel, the Acme, May.
Is that the same type of movie? Bruce Willis was in a Death Wish.
Fucking Liquid
I think.
Nitrogen in
Yeah,
bottles.
the remake.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
Oh, there's Charles Bronson.
Yeah, notice it made nobody's list.
Rest in peace.
You can't.
Yeah,
You
I didn't,
can't
I
fuck
didn't,
with
I didn't know if he
Bronson.
was still alive or not.
Yeah.
So
I know.
I missed it.
I remember hearing about it. Is that Chris Novoselic?
03, so that means he had to sit through May.
Maybe that's what fucking killed him.
Oh God, you're all horrible. I pray for everyone on this panel.
Actually, you know what? Maybe he was in Universe as well, and she fucking took his balls
Maybe
because Bronson has some fucking balls.
Yeah, yeah.
So what are we talking about?
I don't know. We're talking about Charles Bronson's balls.
Scary stories to tell in the dark.
That's a paranormal
That's
event.
definitely.
All right, I'll
So-
go first.
Yeah, I was going to say this is kind of like your
This is my
brainchild.
brainchild.
Yeah, you like
So-
Skinamarink, so there has to be something.
I did. So here's one thing that I used to do when we were kids. I was a teenager.
Throwing rocks and
Throwing rocks,
small
at squirrels, and you'll learn all about that. So anyway, I had a had a buddy. His name was Ronnie, and he had like the fucking community car. You know, everybody just piled into his car. We went everywhere, and he was always the older individual.
I was going to say, was it like an old Buick?
No, it was an old like fucking Chevy Impala or some shit like that. And I live in Jersey, and obviously, you know, you can Google Annie's Ghost Road in Jersey. It's in West Patterson, right? The story about Annie's Ghost Road is that a girl, you know, the whole road is like a mile-long cemetery on one side, like little river, creek on the other. No lights. Completely fucking dark. So what we would do is we'd bring our girlfriends out there. We'd shut off the lights. He had his fucking Halloween soundtrack on cassette. We'd crank the fucking Halloween music, try to scare all the girls, and we'd fucking cruise down there, and he would shut off his lights. And so the legend is that there's this girl, she got killed while she was going to a prom or something like that. Now her ghost walks, right, the road, and if she sees you, you know, even if you try to drive through her, she's going to get in your car. She's going to ask for you to take her somewhere, and if you say no, she'll scratch your eyes out, she'll kill you. There was like red paint that was on the side of the wall, and everybody thought it was blood. So long story short, we fucking practically lived at this place, Annie's Ghost Road. And it was one night, I don't know if it was the night before Halloween or if it was on Halloween. My buddy Paulie and myself, we got a dare from these friends we were hanging out with to walk the entire road. We're going to drop you off at the top of Annie's Ghost Road, and we're going to wait for you a mile down. It was a theater up the hill. Now, supposedly there was this little town of like little people that were around. It was like I never encountered any little, but like they had their own
like
town.
midgets?
Like midgets, yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to say the word midgets because I know that's
You
a
can't.
thing.
Yeah, but you
Those
did.
small
I
people.
said it for you, and you went and said it
Yeah,
anyway.
but you know, yeah. I should have stayed with like, damn, you're a bad influence on me, Dave. So anyway.
Oh, I'm being nice.
So we walked the road, right? And now we're creeping ourselves out. We're hearing things. We're hearing fucking footsteps in the fucking fall, like the leaves and everything, because it's fall time, and all like the leaves on the side. And it's like, you know, did you hear that? You know, we're freaking each other out, right? We got this mile. They already zoomed past. They're waiting at the end of the fucking road. And I said to my buddy, and I'll never forget this. I'm like, could you imagine, like, if we just fucking died? And we didn't even know, and our ghosts now, we're walking this road just like Annie is, and we don't even know that we're in a ghost form, and we're continuing to walk down. Soon as I fucking said that, 2 cop cars come speeding with 2 ambulance drivers down this fucking road, and he and I are looking, we're like, what the fuck?
And then you turn around, they're scooping up your bodies.
And I'll never forget the second I said that. Now, we're already creeped out because we're hearing noises and the cemetery everywhere. And as soon as I said, imagine if we were like fucking dead and fucking ambulance fucking just shoot down the road with 2 cop cars. We eventually finished our walk. We got up to the movie theater where we saw Night of the Demons. So this was like 1988-ish. And it was just cool. Annie's Ghost Road was a great place. It's still there today. You can drive down. You can shut your lights. You can have some fun with it. But it's kind of an urban legend. And there it is. There it is. There's the red. There's me walking.
Yes.
But yeah, it's
There's
just
JC's
cemetery
ghost.
on one side, creek on the, and no
That's the
lights.
that's the Passaic River on the other side.
Yeah. Oh, there, the Little Peopleville.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't say that.
Yeah.
Shout out to weirdnewjersey.com.
Yeah, we're looking at Weird New Jersey right now.
Because I'll get into one. So my previous job, I worked at a hospital down the shore in Summers Point, New Jersey. And I worked overnight shift, and, you know, I'd have to go through the morgue and many different things throughout the hospital at night. It was a lot quieter, a lot creepier. And the first night, I had, like, some weird, like, a light flicker or different things. I was like, you know what, I would always visit weirdnewjersey.com, and I decided to start Googling. And somehow I stumbled upon the hospital that I was working in. They considered the haunted autopsy suite there to be haunted, which is weird because I found it on like a table of contents, and it used to be called Shore Memorial Hospital, and then they since changed it to Shore Medical Center. And I saw the table of contents. I tried to order the magazine because it was a specific magazine, bought the magazine on eBay, got it sent to me, went through, couldn't find the article, which sucked because I wanted to see what specifically was said in that magazine. I was never able to find a specific article about that, but it was in there. And then from that point forward, many different nights, I had crazy stuff happen. On the fourth floor, it was like physical therapy, and it was weird because it would only the guys that worked with us were the only ones that would ever say something. Anytime a girl was up there, they never had any weird stuff happen. And the one night I was up there, I'm walking through, just doing my rounds, and there was like a crate full of like a soccer ball, different medicine ball, different things, you know, for physical therapy. And as soon as I walk by and turn the corner, I hear one of the balls hit the ground and start rolling.
Oh, fucking changeling.
Which was bizarre because none of them were like
Carmichael Manor?
None of them were near the top to where they could potentially just fall out. Like they were all kind of like snug in there. No one, like I stopped dead in my tracks. I turned around. And I was like, what the fuck? And I told some people, they're like, yeah, the other night we were up there and we were like, they were doing the floors, refinishing them and everything. And they heard it sounded like chairs being dragged on the floor. And they were like, what the fuck? They're like, we're doing the floors. We don't want someone doing that while, you know. They would walk through, nothing. They didn't see anything, but they heard it. And the last time, like, we would all have many different occurrences. And like I said, no girls in this department would ever say anything. So it was one night I was up there by myself, and all of a sudden, you know, I'm doing my rounds, I'm going through, and I look all the way down the hallway, like, because it was like two big rooms, and there's something on the ground, and I walk over, and it's a gold angel from the Christmas wreath. Now it's a good maybe 20 to 30, like, there's no way this thing, and it was standing upright. If it fell off that wreath, I don't know how the fuck it would get to the middle of the room and be standing
That's
upright.
fucking creepy. It's like the shoe from Nope.
Like a minute.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah. A minute later, one of the girls comes up and they're like, yeah, did you guys see anything tonight? Or I'm like, there was a little, like one of those, because there were still a couple of them on the wreath. And I'm like, it was literally standing upright.
Yeah, how's it get in the middle of the floor like
From
that?
that night forward, no one ever heard anything again. It was bizarre.
Oh, that's creepy.
But yeah, that was. I had ones. There was one night I was back, not far from the morgue, where there was like an industrial washer and dryer. We would like wash certain things there, and there was a broom and a dustpan, and it was kind of leaned up against it. And I went to like reach into the washer, and I heard a loud bang, and the broom and the dustpan was like way behind me, like nowhere close, and it was like, well, even if it fell, there's no way it would have went like all the way over there. So I went to my coworker like an hour later. I'm like, yo, I don't know what just happened back there. I'm like, the broom and the dustpan was on the other side of the room. He's like, oh, you're making it up. It's in your head. I said, well, first off, but I said, if I'm going to make up a story, it's going to be a little more exciting than a broom and a dustpan going across the room. But yeah, I had that happen. I was outside the morgue once, and for some reason on the weekend, the morgue door was open. as they were draining the body, like prepping an autopsy, which was weird because they never leave the door wide open. So the next day, like when they would come to pick up like the dirty linens and stuff, they would come through that back door. And I just so happened to cross paths with the guy, and he's like, "Oh, have there been any fresh bodies lately?" And I'm like, "It's funny you said that because yesterday they had the morgue door wide open, and right as I said that, the lights above us start flickering." And I'm like, I just stopped mid sentence. I'm like, "You saw that, right?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Let's continue this conversation another time." So we just stopped right there. There was one other time where I didn't actually like have this happen. The two girls that worked overnight back in this same area, they told me one night they were walking to go back to that same spot where like the washer and dryer and all that was. And in that back door, you need to either badge in or you need the security code. That's normally where like the funeral homes will come to pick up the bodies. And they said as they were walking back there, they saw a patient walking in a gown holding an IV pole. And they just freaked out and they ran back to the break room. And when they told me that story, I was like, so right then and there, I said that's weird. I said, because first off, no patient's going to be able to get back there through that back entrance to even know that it exists. I said, and if there's a patient walking with an IV pole, I'm pretty sure they're never going to make it back there because someone's going to notice them. And so I'm like, I think it's a ghost. They were like, yeah, once they peeked out the door a little while later, they said the person was gone.
Wow.
They never saw them again, nothing. And it's one of those where it's when you just try to think logically, like, okay, if that person was able to get back there, how'd they get in through the door? And then, like, to me, and that's all most of these stories I'm telling you are all around where the morgue was, where in Weir, New Jersey, it claimed that area was haunted.
So those girls then experienced something, right? Because it sounded like the initial one was like it just targeted guys.
Yeah, no,
right?
that was on a different section of the hospital. But this one, it was. So I don't know if up on the 4th floor, maybe it was a lady that was abused, something, to where when it was a guy, they always did something. Or they felt, like, I don't know. But, yeah, down near the morgue, there was many stories of weird, different light. And I mean, yeah, a light can flicker. It could be a bad bulb, something like that. But when it happens at the most convenient times or something like that. So, yeah, that.
Did you guys ever see a ghost?
No. As much as I shouldn't say tried, but I'd be curious to bump into one. But and I have friends too who have close relatives that have passed and would tell me like, yeah, they would like have conversations with them. I never followed through to find out like, is there an actual like apparition that sits down next to them, or if it's all just you're having this conversation. Like I never followed through to find out like how these conversations take place. Because like I said, I'm picturing like Obi-Wan sitting next to you on a log and you're shooting his shit for 5 minutes and realize that chick you kissed a couple years ago was your sister and like all this other weird shit. But nah.
I saw a ghost, and it even gives me goosebumps now to talk about it because like I tell this story a lot and about like you don't know what to. I know what I saw. And to this day, thinking about it freaked me out. Same friend Ronnie, right? We lived in the project.
The one that died with you on the road?
Yeah. No, that was Paulie. Ronnie was the one with the car.
I was Paulie.
But Ronnie, his mom was
and Jimmy and Frankie and
his.
Wait, he's got a friend Paulie.
Yeah.
And Ronnie.
Yeah. So
North Jersey.
So I grew
Where's
up.
Mike the situation?
So I right. Sammy. I grew up in. I grew up in like projects area, right? So like apartments, and and had a lot of friends that that grew up with hanging out. And my friend Ronnie, he lived in a corner apartment, right? And his, he was like one that really got me into. I wouldn't say got me into horror, but we watched a lot of horror movies together. His mom was a nurse; she worked the midnight shift. So she was never home, and like on weekends we would hang out. We would
always looking out for the Night Stalker.
Yeah, we would go to Palmer Video back then, the mom and pop video stores. We would rent a ton of horror movies. We would all hang out, grab a sub sandwich, and just watch horror. So anyway, his father was a heavy set man, very heavy set. And my brother was best friends with Ronnie. I was kind of like the younger guy, you know, to tag along a little bit, but I was friends with them as well. My brother was in the house when his father had a heart attack and died. His father died on the kitchen floor. They rushed him to the hospital. He had a heart attack. My brother came. They were playing video games upstairs. He came down to see his father kind of convulsing and you know, right on the kitchen floor underneath the table. Rushed him to the hospital. He passed away. Ever since he died, we would all be nervous about going by Ronnie's house because he would always say, like, he would hear things. He would literally tape his blinds shut because he said even with the windows closed, his blinds would kind of like move like the windows were open and like wind was coming in. I'm getting goosebumps telling the story. So here, fast forward one night, it's me, my sister, Joanne, my brother, Joe, Ronnie, and I believe Paulie was there. Someone else was there. It was like 4 or 5 of us. We were going to take, it must have been 1 a.m. in the morning, right? And we were going to take a ride to 7-Eleven, get some snacks and everything. Ronnie's mom was working. No one was home. The apartment was in a corner apartment. You had the door there, and you had the window right above the door. And the window was his father's bedroom. We come out of the house.
Norman.
Dude, we come out of the house, and Ronnie locks the door, right? We're all leaving. There's no one in the house. There's no one home. His mom's working. His father's dead. And there's no one there. I turn around, and I look at the window, and as God is my judge, I will say it till the day I die, there was a silhouette of a heavyset man in that window standing on the side. You could see his stomach bulging out. You could see everything. And then it just backed away. It was there, and it backed away. They turned around. They saw it. We sat outside till 6 a.m. in the fucking morning. Until she came home. We would not go back in that house. And it freaked me out to this day. When I tell everyone I saw a fucking ghost, you know, oh, you didn't. I know what I saw. And what was it? What could it have been? I still to this day think about it and I see it. It's like burned in my memory. Like I always try to debunk it. But what could it have been? It was clear as shit, a silhouette of a man standing there, and then it just backed away. There's no one in the house.
Was that your nightmare fuel?
That's my nightmare fuel. That's my now. Listen,
Real
his
life.
father was a great guy, and I'm sure wouldn't be anything to be afraid of or anything like that. And eventually, Ronnie went back inside his house, and his mom came home, and everything went back to normal. But I will never forget looking back at the apartment and that holy fuck moment when I saw that.
The closest
Chills,
thing
man.
I've ever come to physically seeing something was on Christmas Eve years ago. I was at my mom's house, and we were watching The Santa Claus, which was a movie we always watched every Christmas Eve. And Christmas Eve just happened to be her mother's birthday. Her father died in 98 when I was a kid. And we were, just watching the movie, talking, and kind of where you would sit in the living room, little off to the right was one of their bathrooms. They had one upstairs, but this one was on the ground floor. And for some reason, that door would always, they had a door stop that they would put, because if not, it would kind of just close itself. And we're just talking, and we bring up her father. And all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I see, like, I don't even know how to explain it. It was like some kind of light, like a little light. And it just caught my eye, and I just stared off, like, not saying a word, because I didn't even know what I just saw. And, like, maybe, 10 seconds go by. My mom's like, did you just see something? Because she's heavy into paranormal and all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh. Your mom is?
Yeah.
Oh,
she
that's
watches
cool.
that kind of
Oh.
stuff and all. And she could tell because, I was, looking off to the side and just quiet. And she asked me again because I didn't even, answer. And I was like, yeah. And then I just got up and I walked over. And the door was, halfway open. Doorstop wasn't on there. And I came back and sat on the couch and I was like, I don't know what I just saw. I said, but the door doesn't even have the doorstop on it. I said, and I saw some kind of light. And I said it was right after, you mentioned your dad. And like I said, that just so happened to be Christmas Eve which was his wife's birthday, right after we mentioned his name. And it was weird. Like, it's very simple, nothing too outrageous, but something I remember to this day.
Unexplainable. Yeah. Wow, that's...
And it's not like we ever saw anything in there again, or they had many different, paranormal things in that house. I don't think they ever had anything else in that house. But that night, I never forget what I saw.
Yeah. Yeah, it sticks with you.
Yeah.
It's like that, like my story. It just fucking... Listen, I believe in ghosts. There's too much evidence. Too much evidence exists to not think that there's ghosts out there. These paranormal things that you see and hear about, it's like it has to exist. It has to be real.
It was. I've mentioned this to a few people over the years, but yeah, it was probably like 2 or 3 years ago. I was just on this kick of, pulling up like random like audiobooks and all, and being a bit of a Slipknot fan, I didn't realize how many books Corey Taylor wrote, and he did one. It was called Funny Thing Happened to Me on the Way to Heaven. The audiobook that he reads, of course, he's got to read his own shit. It's like 7.5 hours long, and that's all it is. His entire life and all these paranormal experiences he's had. And it's funny because like early in one of the early chapters, he's like, I'm a devout atheist. Like, I don't believe in any of that shit. I believe in ghosts.
Yeah.
And at one point, he even goes into an explanation as to what he believes ghosts are from more of a scientific point of view. But he's just telling, like, from when he was a little kid up until, like, at the point of writing that book, all these experiences he's had. And they're interesting stories.
Yeah.
He's even talking about, like, when they were recording their third album, apparently it was in... they said it was supposed to be, like, the Houdini house and all, which was, like, notoriously haunted and shit. But, and, like, yeah, how... to the point where, like, half the band wanted to leave, mid-recording the album because it was, like, too much weird shit was going on. But, yeah, if anybody ever has, like, an entire workday to burn and listen to it, it's a really cool thing. And when he was explaining what he believed ghosts were, I'm like, I could buy that.
I think they're all around us. I think they're constantly, like...
Dude, I'm still a little weirded out about the chain, so...
Dude, that chain fucking moved.
And the closest I came to witnessing anything, even though it was just I was there, but otherwise I had nothing to do with it, was... So, yeah, an ongoing theme in my life. So, when I was 13, my father got diagnosed with cancer. He made it about 3 years. I was very hands-on, I guess because I was the older one. Like my sister, like we were both still living our lives normally, but because I was older, I got brought in. So when he was getting IVs at home and shit like that, my mom gave me the crash course on how to do it. This is before you need all kinds of certification to touch any medical equipment. But so I was witnessing his decline more so. And like I said, my sister, it's not like she didn't care, but like I said, I kind of got pulled into seeing more of it. So June 5th, 1990, I'm sitting in Spanish class, 6th period, and I hear the click of the intercom from the office. I was like, grab my books and all that shit, and I'm like, yep, they're calling for me. And is David there? And yes. So I was like, all right. So I took off. My sister's only 2 years behind me, and then also my cousin, who is like 6 months behind me. So we all went to the same high school roughly the same time. So my grandfather got sent to pick us up, and he's like, yeah, it's done. So they left him there so us kids can come say our goodbyes and everything. He passed away in the master bedroom. So we get there, and of course it's, obviously we're all a wreck and everything. And then once it got to the point where it was like, okay, we're going to pack him up and take him and all that. So my sister, it just caught her more off guard because, again, she was ignorant bliss. Like, she didn't see enough of it, so it hit her harder. So she just lost her shit and ran off into her room. Now, again, this is 1990, so we got landlines. So I was getting ready to walk out of my parents' bedroom, and then the phone rings. And only rang like once or twice, and then we just knew my sister was in her room, so obviously she picked up the phone. And after a couple seconds, she just starts screaming. So everyone's freaking out, like, what the fuck happened to her? So here we go running in, and oh yeah, there was another piece of info I forgot, but yeah, she said she picked up the phone, and it was my father saying, "Don't worry, Turkey, everything's going to be fine." That was his nickname for her most of her life. So he always had a blast, like Thanksgiving. We're like, "Oh, we're going to put turkey in the oven." No. But she said it was his voice.
Wow.
And at this point, this was like 2-3 hours after he passed. And yeah, he was like, "Don't worry, Turkey, everything's going to be fine." That's when she screamed and slammed the phone down, a la, Nancy Thompson
Oh my God! If I took a
and
phone
all
call
that.
like that,
And it was like, it fucked all of us up.
yeah.
Obviously her the worst because she experienced, but it was like after that, I was afraid to answer the phone for a while, even though as bad as I wanted to hear his voice,
You don't want to hear his voice.
I don't want to hear his voice.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was probably the closest I came to having a hands-on experience with something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's more of like the unexplainable, if that's even a word. Not necessarily like seeing visual ghosts. Like, I think I might have told some of you guys the story of when I went to the Eastern State Penitentiary, and we went for a ghost hunt, an actual ghost hunt, not like the terror behind the walls, stuff like that. And we went, I think it started at like 9 p.m., and we went to different sections because there was like 4 different groups, so we would all go, and they had like the electronic devices. We would hear a little bit of stuff, nothing too crazy. When we got into the death row section of the Eastern State Penitentiary, I was the last person that entered. Like, the guys that were telling the stories and all the history, they went in first.
Was everything like dark and shit?
It was
Like-
very dark.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot of light. They would have
gotta
like a
do this.
flashlight, all
You
this
gotta
stuff.
do
So I'm the last one to come in. As soon as I came into the death row area, it was the weirdest feeling I've ever had in my life. It was like I lost all my senses. I couldn't really pay attention to anything they were saying. And it felt like someone, like when you came in, we all kind of came into this little section. And off to the right was kind of where the showers were, different things like that. And it felt like someone was trying to tell me, like, "No, just come around here. Just come around here." It was weird. And I don't even know how long it went, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. That was all, it was like I said, unexplained. I didn't know what was going on. When we finally were about to leave and I got outside, it was like that all disappeared and everything was back to normal. To this day, I've told the story. I have no idea what happened. And I would like to know what
Yeah,
happened,
that's-
but it was one of the weirdest things I've ever experienced in my life.
We should do that. We should do like a ghost hunting.
That church by your house is really freaky.
Yeah, but we'd probably get
Well-
arrested and end up in jail if we did that. Although I want to definitely.
That is
poke
one of
around.
the most unique.
Yeah, that is a.
That caught my eye when I was coming to your house.
That
one
is,
time.
that is a creepy, and it's just sitting there, right? Like abandoned, windows broken. It's very creepy.
I
Like
guess
it doesn't belong.
Yeah.
But we should
Definitely
do
should
something
do.
like that. I mean, they have these ghost hunting things. I mean, I've never really done that, and I would love to do it.
I sort of did one, but it was like low scale, like thing and all. It was kind of an eerie night just because it's like, oh well, of course we're coming here to instigate some shit in a place that's had blatant sightings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it was enough to be unnerving, but
I may get divorced though if I did that. Like, 'cause Barbara's
You
always,
bring shit home.
Yeah, Barbara's
You're in
always
trouble.
saying, she's like, I don't mind your horror and everything that you do, but you bring something fucking home, because of your stupidity, we got problems. And I feel like someone would latch on to me.
See, I didn't even know that. See, now when it came to the Reagan sculpture there, you could have been like, it's either this or a demon.
Yeah, well,
Like, it's up to you.
remember now,
I'm bringing something home.
when I travel now, my wife does the plants. Some of my plants are forever living in my horror man cave. I can't get around it. It's the only place that has the most sun, so I can't get the plants out of my horror man cave. So I got all this horror shit, then I got fucking plants. She's got to go in there and water them, and there's the fucking clown. That fucking clown.
Which clown?
That fucking clown.
From what movie?
From Hell House, baby. And it's just sitting there, the mannequin, and it's just sitting.
Patrick the clown?
Yes.
And it's just in the side, like she's like, and I got to walk past that fucker every time that I walk into your room, and it's.
But does he look at you when you walk?
I freak out about that. Like some nights, like on the weekend, because I'll like the door will be open, and when I go up my stairs. And like the bathroom there, and if I go a little further down the hallway, I start to see the corner of the horror man cave in the room, and the clown is right there. You can see it
Does it
through
look
the
like?
door.
Does it look like that?
Yeah,
Yes.
there it is. There it is, and it's just sitting there, and it's staring at the door, and it's like I freak myself out. It's like something like what if I and it's like turned the other way, or if it's not fucking there anymore. Like I'm leaving the fucking
Barb,
house.
if you're listening and you really want to fuck with him.
Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, that would fucking freak me out. I'm grabbing the wife and we're getting out the fucking house. That clown could have the house.
Spending the night at the Holiday Inn.
Wow, look at that. Wait, how much clown similar to here there I am. Clown similar to Hell House LLC full size. $399. No. $100 for the exact mask and $79 for a Spirit Halloween 5'3" fucking mannequin with white gloves. Done.
Boom.
Boom. Drop the mic. You got your that fucking clown.
And you can catch this clown at the upcoming horror convention in August.
Monster Mania.
Yeah.
Monster
yeah.
Cherry
Yeah.
Hill.
Yeah. I will be
New Jersey.
cosplaying as the clown. I need a turtleneck, though. I can't have. Yeah. Patrick did not have his neck showing.
I got
turtleneck in fucking August.
I got some Kiss grade.
yeah.
I got some Kiss grade cream paint. Whatever. I'll paint up your neck.
But you see, like the picture right there.
Yeah.
Right. See that I have to have. Yeah. I have to have the black you can't see any of my neck.
Mm-hmm. Did you stretch it out a little bit so you could breathe better, see better?
No. I love it. Now it's sitting on a mannequin.
No, the mannequin's stretching it out for him.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish the mannequin would fucking stand up though. I can't stand it. It doesn't.
I think you can get a stand to
All right.
prop it.
You're not leaving that shit at my house, but you're welcome to bring it over anytime.
Just go to Strawbridge's and take one.
I was gonna say when we're done with the makeup, I'll work on
We'll work on trying to get it to stand.
some bendies. We'll get some bendy straws and
This is
tighten
the
up
shit.
those joints.
This is the shit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come down to my basement one day.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be at the bottom of the steps.
Yeah. Well, listen. In a few.
That's why I always try to get here first, so you guys don't fuck with that shit.
In a few weeks, I'm gonna be walking those stairs. I'm going down that basement.
I think you're gonna bring something home.
I'm gonna hang out where Hell House is fucking filmed. I can't fucking wait. 8 hours. I'm gonna be out there.
Oh, so you did go for the whole package?
We decided to not do the 12 midnight to 3 a.m. ghost hunt. It was just it was just too not it was an extra $50 and probably should have did it, but that's just a little too. Getting home at leaving there at 3 and fucking it was just too much.
You gonna do a piano solo with Hector?
I am. I'm gonna take a lot of video for you guys.
I could teach you the song. It's so.
Oh, they're gonna have it playing because
it's 3 fucking notes.
part of this whole event is the Hell House escape.
So
right. They're gonna put us in the movie. So that fucking clown is gonna be stalking my ass through this horror attraction.
You should have saw if they had a room available in 2C.
Yeah.
Oh, they're doing shit in there too.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to video everything that I do to show you guys. I should wear my fucking clown outfit. Say, bring it, motherfucker.
Yeah,
Yes.
I wouldn't be fucking with that shit.
No, I'm not wearing the clown out there.
And then Busta Rhymes comes in and just fucking kung fu's both of you.
Oh shit.
But I guess somewhat of a segue off the Eastern State thing. I have this friend now for 10, 15 years. I always refer to her as my Halloween friend because we'll keep in touch a little bit here and there throughout the year, but from like late August up until like mid-November, it's like every day we're going back and forth talking. And yeah, after the first, second week in November, it was just like, all right, yeah, talk to you next year. It's just something our relationship evolved into and all. She's a fucking psychopath, which is probably why we get along. But yeah, so one year, it was just one of those years I had a lot of shit going on, and I never made it to a haunted attraction that year. And I guess I told her about that. So it was like a couple days after Halloween, and she's like, oh, you want to go to Eastern State? And I was like, it's November. And she's like, oh, yeah, they're doing one more weekend. I guess, you know, they figured another cash grab. So, and she's like, yeah, they're doing the lights out thing and all that. I was like, oh, okay. Well, yeah, I need to do something. I've never been there. So we went and did it. And yeah, other than a few lights just to accent the pathway a little here and there, fucking pitch black. We go in there and they do like the orientation thing in the lobby, and they said, okay, and we have these glow necklaces. It's up to you. If you want to take one, that's basically given consent for the actors to touch you. And I'm just like, oh, cool. So, of course, my friend's like, she's like, oh, yeah, we're doing this shit and all. And I was like, yeah. And in the meantime, I'm like, fuck you, bitch. So we went and did the whole thing. And then afterwards, now she's from like she grew up like Manayunk area, like way out in PA, out past Channel 6. So after we were done, she never got her license or anything. So I went, picked her up, and then we went to the thing, and then, you know, I went and dropped her off, and she's like, oh, do you want to go to my happy place? And I think we've been there like one other time, but like 5-10 minutes from her, there's this patch of woods, and it's got, and it's got like this trail and everything. I mean, as in trail, like if they were to pave it, it could be like a 3-4 lane highway. But it's just this wide dirt path, and you can go back there and walk through the woods, and it really is nice. It's like and she always said, like, when things always got really fucked up, she would take a walk down there and all. So when she introduced me to this, I was like, oh my God, this is fucking amazing. So when we went back, you know, it was only like midnight, so she's just like, oh, you want to go to the happy place? And I was like, sure, why not? So we went over there. So it's, you know, late at night. And we're walking along there, and of course we're both trying to freak each other out, making jokes like, oh, what was that? What was that over there? Oh. And then at one point, and we were probably quarter to half mile down this path, and then we both kind of looked at each other because we heard something, and it sounded like an animal, like the speed and like, you know, almost horse-like, like but heard something running through the woods, and this pathway goes along, she hates it when I say this, goes along the creek. And she's like, it's a fucking creek. I'm like, don't you Philly suburb bitches like call it the creek? But she's like, I hate that. But, and then as soon as we acknowledged we heard something, we both look over to where it's coming from. And I swear to God, like I said, it sounded like an animal sprinting. But I saw this silhouette, like almost like it was hydroplaning across the creek. And it was like an upright human. It was something running on 2 legs at not a human speed. But it was like so fast, like from the time we heard it till the time it was over and we both registered, it was like 5 seconds. It was just like, do you hear that? And then we just see going across. I don't know what the fuck it was, but I know like a minute before that we were joking about like, hey, you ever see any demons out here or anything like that? Like I said, it's like, it was like a no-brainer. Like this was like a deer or something, but the silhouette I saw was like a tall human sprinting through there.
That's creepy.
And obviously, like I said, just from the haunt, like when she was saying like, oh yeah, we're doing the bracelets, we're gonna have him touch us and all, and I'm like, yeah, okay. She's always had more balls than me. Even she was like, yeah, let's just get the fuck out of here. And the two of us, it was like, You know, the sprinting walk, like, you know.
Does Eastern State Penitentiary, does it have like a do they still do that, Joe, where they have ghost like hunts, like
I know we went prior to the pandemic, and it was like an outside group
can find
that I guess paid and rented. Like they allowed Eastern State Penitentiary allowed them to go in and then host it there. I know they've always had like the Terror Behind the Walls or some kind of like haunted house type deal, but this was an actual ghost hunt.
Talking
like
about
we were there,
ghost hunting.
I don't know if
like
they still do it.
I remember. Actually, I've only been there twice. It was that one night when they had the lights out thing, and it was cool as hell. But
I think it was like 2019.
Ghost tours. There you go. And kudos to Danny C, who's working the monitor here perfectly. Whatever we need,
he's running the Googles.
He's running the Googles, so we're getting all the information right at our fingertips.
But I did, and I think it was like September or actually it might have been over the summer. But I think it was like 2019. They had it was like a masquerade ball or something over there, and it was like, all right, it'd be cool to go hang out, and we dressed up and we actually made our own masks. Like our creepy, basically look like ventriloquist dummy masks. But we went to this thing, and it's like you go in there, and in the hub of the whole thing, they have, they had a DJ there, and, you could dance and all that. But once you're in there, you just get the run of the place. Like they had one section, like way down, like you couldn't go into the other wing of it. But from that hub, you could go down any hallway. You could do whatever. So it was really cool to just casually, and everybody's walking around just handing you shots and shit. So we decided to start, me and my girlfriend at the time, we started walking down this one hallway. And then as you're walking up to the cells and all, you'll just have someone open up a door, grab you and pull you in. And pretty much every other cell, it was an amazing night. But they would have like these games. Like they would pull you into a cell, and then it would just be somebody in there, sometimes in costume, sometimes not, and they'd be sitting at a table, and it'd be as simple as like a dumb 5-question trivia game. But it was like these were all rigged in a way that you were getting shots every time you got pulled into one of these. So it's like by the end of the night, and you didn't pay for any of it. They had a bar there, but it's like if you just walk the halls, you'd have people yanking you into these cells. And have some dumb thing. I think one was like tic-tac-toe. And they would throw the game just so, or if it was something and you did lose the game, they're like, all right, well, here's your consolation. Like you're getting a shot every time. I don't even know what the fuck they were feeding us, but that was a great fucking night.
Did you guys ever mess with Ouija boards?
No.
No.
I did a couple of times when I was younger. I will never touch a Ouija board ever again. I mean, I didn't have an experience with it, but I know of a couple of people that did, and I heard some stories about it. Which was
I think I told you the story.
You did tell me the story.
So
yeah.
I messed with them 3 times. The very first time, it was my cousin brought hers, and it was just her and I, and we were messing with it. And again, I had never done it, so she's explaining to me how you have to go about it. The Circle 8 and all that, and barely touched the planchette. And
to think they sell these things in a fucking store.
And
isn't it Parker Brothers?
Yeah.
And
like, what are we doing here?
So we would ask simple questions because I didn't know what I was doing, and we would accuse each other of moving it, stuff like that. So the one time
isn't that part of the routine? Like accusations have to be made every time.
Absolutely.
And then while you're fighting, that's when it goes across the room.
So this time, it was in middle school, and there was a new girl that had just come, and I didn't know what to ask, so one of them was, oh, does this girl like me? Barely had any communication with her, anything like that, and of course it goes to yes. So my first thought is my cousin moved this for sure. And then I honestly, that one was so long ago, I don't remember any other questions. I remember that one specifically. So like a week later in school, I had tried to do some research, like ask my buddy. I was cool with this one girl that was kind of talking to her, the girl that I liked, I thought was attractive and all that. So I'm like, let me find out if this girl likes me. So kind of, through the runaround, I find out that she does. I didn't really believe it. So the one day I just asked her out on a date, and she said, yeah, no problem. And I was like,
Captain Saudi.
So
Howdy
eventually
said you'd
we
come to me.
ended up going out for like a month or so. But it was one of those where it always stuck back because I remember asking the Ouija board when I had barely had any communication with her. So that was the only time I had touched it for years. And then it was in high school. My buddy and his sister, they lived across the street from me. And this is where, and the reason why I will never touch them again. So we went and we bought one, at like Toys R Us or something. It was actually the glow-in-the-dark one. So we wanted to get the full experience. We turned out the lights, all that. And we asked many different questions throughout that night. And one of them that always stuck with me, my buddy, his sister took us to school, high school. She drove us because neither one of us had a car. And my buddy asked the question, is he going to get a car? And it went to yeah. And we were like, oh, cool. And a week later, out of the blue, his uncle sends him a check to buy a car, which was bizarre. Like, he didn't ask his uncle, nothing, just out of the blue.
And it was that cheap-ass uncle.
So he ends up finding a car rather quickly, and we start driving to school. Passenger seatbelt doesn't work. So maybe it had to be, I know it was less than 2 weeks, somewhere in a week to 2 weeks. We would park around the same area at school, and we would meet after the same period because our classes weren't that far from each other. So we park, we walk to school. At the end of the day, last period, I had to stop and talk to my English teacher just for like a couple minutes. So I talk to her, I leave, I go to the spot we normally meet, and he's not there. And first I waited like 5-10 minutes. I was kind of pissed, like, yo, at least let me know, like, if something. So I walk all the way out to where we parked, and the car's not there. And I was like, that's bizarre. So I go home that day. I end up walking to my grandma's. I go home, and when I get home, the car's not in the driveway across the street. Another hour or two goes by, the car's not there. Like 7 o'clock, his mom comes and knocks on our door crying. Got into a bad car accident as soon as he left school. He pulled out of the parking lot, turned the corner, and got hit head on with like a big van. Car was demolished. He like messed up his knee. He had glass in his head. And right then and there, I was like, I had no words because I would have been in the passenger seat with no seatbelt. And from
You'd
that,
have been dead.
Yeah, and from that day forward, I look back and I was like, because that night, besides that, like
that was your warning.
That was one.
Final destination.
There was also, because we actually spoke to like 4 different ghosts that night, and one would just curse at us. Literally every question we asked, it just refused to answer, and it would just spell out curse words. We had one that spoke Spanish. There was one that was like when we would get one, we couldn't really communicate
Like, would it
with.
actually spell out Spanish words and shit?
Yeah.
And you guys didn't know
They
Spanish?
They did.
They did.
Yeah. And it was like the one ghost that, gave us the answers of, his car and all that stuff was calm, would answer questions, all that stuff. I don't remember what the name was of the ghost we spoke to. But when that happened with the car and all that, I was like, yeah, I'm never touching this shit again. And again, like he said, in the beginning when you're going through, again, you're always gonna, like, how is this shit moving on its own?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, once we got into it, we were talking to the spirits and getting the answers. That even accusing one was out the door. But yeah, anyone that ever brings up Ouija boards, I tell them that story because,
don't
again,
fuck with
it's
Ouija
one of
boards.
those that's unexplainable.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. And, like, clearly I had a little bit of luck that day. Obviously, he went through a lot of problems. But it was like, yeah. And as I thought about it, too, as a couple days went by, it's like when I walked out to that spot where his car was missing, at that moment, his car's already destroyed right around the corner.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that was... I don't even know. I don't have words for that one. I remember because I remember listening to like our very first episode, and I slightly brought it up, and I was like, "Yeah, that's a story I'll tell down the road," and this was it. It was
Year and a
one.
half later.
Yeah.
I harassed Joe though to get him to tell me that story.
But yeah, I don't fuck with Ouija boards. And,
Nah.
I mean, if someone wants to, by all means, don't ask me to do it. But yeah, I don't
out.
fuck with them. Never again.
Yeah.
And which is weird because it's a game you can get at Toys R
I
Us
don't
or not
understand
at Toys R
why
Us
they-
anymore. But yeah, no, I
I
don't
used
fuck
to
with
ask
that.
the Ouija board, Captain Howdy, if my mom was pretty. And I never.
That's not
Captain
nice.
Howdy, do you think my mom is pretty? Captain Howdy, Captain Howdy, that's not nice. Maybe he's
I
asleep.
I
Are the
played
Mets gonna
once.
win another World Series?
Yeah.
So
Are the
yeah,
Dolphins and the Mets ever gonna fucking do anything ever in sport ever? No, but don't fuck with Ouija boards. Ouija boards are not to be fucked with. I would never. I used to play with them. I never had any experiences, thank God. But I had a couple of friends that lived in the projects. Two sisters, Denise and Sherry, and supposedly the story was that they had a seance and they had a Ouija board that was involved, and they were playing with this Ouija board and they were calling on these spirits. And this girl Sherry, she was really big into like paranormal, and she thought she reading tarot cards and all that other shit. And they supposedly what was said was that
your mother sucks cocks.
yeah, they were playing with the Ouija
This is
board,
real.
right? And they got this one spirit, which was very angry spirit. That, to your point, Joe, cursing and this thing was just supposedly took over Denise, possessed her during the seance, and everybody that was there. And there was a few people that were there around the table when they were doing this.
Round the horn.
Around the horn. Around the horn, as always. There was a few people that, and supposedly she spoke in a guttural type voice, and her eyes got bright red.
Good to see you again, Jack.
And for 15 seconds, she was supposedly shaking and under control of whatever this was, and it had just ended. And everybody used to be freaked out about their apartment. No, we was like, there was the devil apartment. No one wanted to go in the apartment or go near, and everybody was always freaked out around Denise when you heard this. I don't know if it's true or not. I mean, I wasn't there. A lot of people told the same story, but to your point, don't fuck with Ouija boards. There's nothing good that comes out
I don't know
of that.
how that stuff works.
Even if
But
you don't know
opening
what you're
up
fucking doing.
some sort of portal or
Yeah.
any way to bring that out,
Yeah, because before you blink, you're host.
yeah.
And we're all in a seance, and we're all on a Zoom meeting. And we don't know how to close it.
And that's what I told you when it came to the Eastern State Penitentiary. In my mind, I thought something similar to that. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
But I lost, I felt like I couldn't speak. I couldn't, it was just bizarre. Thankfully, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those where I said, things you can't explain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I believe in ghosts as well, but I also believe in unexplainable things as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was just watching on Netflix. There's a cool show that The Unexplained or some shit like that. It just dropped. I guess it's a new show, a new season. And there was one episode on these fucking
Clowns.
no, not fucking no, these blobs in Washington in 1994. It was after
Are you body shaming?
No. After a couple of heavy rain events, there was this, it looked like the fucking blob, where's Shawnee Smith, right? and it just everything was covered with this goo, just this, translucent jelly type substance. They didn't know if it was jellyfish. Sometimes the atmosphere could whip up jellyfish, supposedly, and it just kind of shred it and then rain jellyfish parts. Sharknado, right? But the creepy
did they
thing
sing?
was that there was it was human DNA. It was actually a human type, And to this day, they don't know what the fuck this mystery goo. I mean, go watch it on Netflix. It's like 40 minutes long, but it's fucking unexplained. It's creepy shit, man.
Did they wire it up to like communicate with them, and then all of a sudden started going, "I want to eat your face"?
I don't know if they did that, but there definitely was a lot of it in a movie theater.
Yeah, that's why, like, whenever someone tells me like their story or some kind of experience they had, I normally believe them.
Yeah.
Like,
Why the hell not, right?
I mean, there are people that you could try to explain something something you specifically saw, and they just doubt you. Like, they won't listen to it.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, anytime someone tells me that story of anything like that,
Well, look, when I told the story about my friend's father at the window, you guys could all be, saying to yourself, like, what the fuck is JC talking about? Shut the fuck up. There was no ghost. Get the crust out of your eyes. It was late. You were freaking each other out.
I believe you saw something.
I believe you saw something, but I don't know what it was.
Yeah, there was one night. It was the one.
Files of the Unexplained, yeah.
Yeah, the one time I played the Ouija thing. Sorry, the Ouija thing.
How do you pronounce it? Is
I don't
it
know.
Ouija? Is it Ouija?
I've been haunted since Witchboard came out. And there was a scene in there when they're getting ready to do it, and then you got the one pretentious douchebag in there, and he's just like, actually, it's pronounced Ouija.
Ouija? It's Ouija?
According to this douchebag in Witchboard.
Oh, yeah.
As kids, we always called them wedgie boards.
Wedgie boards.
Yeah. We were like, it sounds too much like wedgie.
How creepy would it be if you're fucking playing with a wedgie board? And
gotcha!
Sudden, yeah, the person just levitates and its underwear starts coming through. And someone's just fucking giving him the ultimate
Then you
wedgie.
find out it's Bull from Night Court. And,
Yeah.
But, it was like mid-'90s, and there was, in our little group of friends, there was the one that had the party house because the parents were gone the most. So, of course, a bunch of us get there, and I swear it played out just like a fucking horror movie. Like, I don't know, it was just like a lot of the interactions that happened, even though we weren't watching horror or anything like that. But
Did you go over the rules?
And then you had the one obligatory couple that like, oh, I'm going to go upstairs and shower. You know what, babe? I'll come up just to make sure you're okay. So they go holding hands, walking upstairs.
This is definitely a horror movie.
And don't say anything.
And
right?
we'll get into it after the show. So then afterwards, it was like, I don't know, like 6 of us still hanging out, and we're like, oh yeah, we're gonna play this. So we're sitting down, and again, yeah, you get the obligatory, like first 2-3 minutes where it's like, yeah, all right, who's moving it? And then like. So we were going with it, and then like started asking questions and all that shit. And I forget what the question was, but it was just like a hard like, and the thing shifted, and all of a sudden you hear from upstairs, like this loud, abrupt. It was like a squeal, and we're all like, "What the fuck?" Like we're all free, so we're all kind of backing up, and you hear it again. Nah, here it turns out the couple that went upstairs, they went and fucked in the bathtub, so that was their body squeak.
All right.
So we're still shaking.
Oil that shit up.
We're still shaken up though from because it was just like a weird coincidence.
Did you guys go investigate?
No, I tried, but they're like, dude, don't go up there.
Because then it would have been.
But we were all still shaking. And then when we realized what it was, my one buddy's like, somebody's bumping ugly.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, the friend whose house it was, she's like, "Oh fuck! Like, no, I gotta scrub that now."
Oh,
but
skid marks.
That was my only experience with that. And then it was like a couple weeks later, my one buddy, he was like, "Yeah, I was moving it."
Yeah, well, that's kind of disappointing, right? There, you think that you hear howls and you hear like squeals, and you think something's going on, and it's just 2 people fucking.
I was always
in a bathtub.
It was like if you knew the couple, at least 50% of it was gross. The thought of it. So.
Oh man, Danny C, anything?
I didn't fuck with any Ouija boards.
Yeah, smart man.
I
Smart.
just stayed away. I knew better.
I mean, you live with 3 women, so I don't know how smart, but
Nah, 4 if you count the bitch,
oh yeah,
Cujo.
Cujo.
oh yeah, and then you got the 2 daughters and the dog.
Danny C's dog is,
Love you, Carl.
I think, doubled for Cujo when they made that movie.
His dog's name is now Maxine fucking Minx.
But it's a
I think I'm going to say that now.
it's a scary dog. It's a scary dog.
No, I think the
Normally it's just fuck you, Max.
yeah
Fucking asshole.
yeah adopted from the streets of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Kensington. No, I think the only time it freaked me out was probably in the past couple of years. So Dave and I, our grandparents, had this grandfather clock in my grandparents' house, and Dave and I.
I was going to say, did anybody end up with that?
Oh, so I've never told you this story then.
I guess not.
Oh, okay.
So when my grandparents had passed, so every time we would stay at our grandparents' house, this thing would, my grandfather would wind it every single day. He was,
Because it was the chain with the weights on it.
yeah, and he would set it, he would wind it, and when you stayed at, I stayed at my grandparents' house, a bunch of times. They had wood floors in the house. That the clock would go off, a half past.
Every 15, yeah.
It would go off and you ding dong ding, and it was just loud, and it would go off all the time, and then when it dong dong,
Oh yeah.
and
For as many,
yeah,
for the hour.
for
that
the
it
hour
is.
that it's
Yeah.
on.
The Undertaker comes out.
So my grandparents had passed. The clock went to my parents' house. So my mom and dad just took it because they were moving stuff out and they were looking to sell the house, and they took it. So it's at my dad's house, and in the living room, but he never winded it or set it or did anything. My mom had turned it to the time that my grandmother passed. So it stayed on there, and it stayed in the corner of the living room. So fast forward, I forget when they passed. It might have been 08. Oh, no,
It
no, it was 09. It was like 09, 010. I forget when.
I was gonna
because
say,
they passed within a couple months of each other.
I was recently reminded because I feel like it was less than 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I think my mom corrected me, and she said, she's like, oh yeah, no, that was back in. I was like, fuck.
Yeah, so Isabella and Brianna were. I know Isabella was born in it was 07, and I know she was there for the funerals and stuff. So, they passed within months of each other, and the clock went to my parents' house. Fast forward now, my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's and right before the pandemic in 2019. So right before the pandemic hit at the end of 19. So, battled 3 years of Alzheimer's. She was getting to a point where, she wasn't, she lost everything she had going for her, her memory. She was nonverbal, and, she was health declined down to where, my dad was taking care of her 24/7. So, she ended up being in the hospital and then going into hospice. So, my mom, we take her home, we're on hospice, and it's just my dad and my sister and my mom, were there for her. And basically they brought her home from the hospital, and they were like, this is going to be here, she'll be here for, likely to pass anytime soon. So that turned into like 6 days of craziness because, they were like, the nurse would come every day to check on her, and they're like, yeah, this, I think she's going to pass, she could probably pass tonight or whatever. And so we were there
any minute now.
Right. So this was like, 6 full days of my dad, my sister, me, and my mom. And, they would talk to us. They'd be like, sometimes you got to find somebody to say it's okay to pass, it's okay to go and things like that. So and my dad, every time, like, you hear my mom breathing the whole entire time, and she would stop for long periods of time, and my dad would go over and, he would coddle her and kiss her head, and she would get that life back into her. And, she was suffering, and going through the hospice piece and, on morphine, to settle that, suffering piece. But, at the end of the 6th day, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning, my mom's breathing gets different, and obviously, we feel like something's going to happen. And so we're all in there together, and it's like, it's getting to a point of, mom's going to pass. So we, she passes, and we're all there together. And, I look back on when her last breath was, and, it was like 4:42 a.m. on December 6th. And my dad looked at the clock about 5 minutes after, just because you don't know she's going to get that breath again. I mean, she was strong woman. And, he goes
Be
over.
fair, she's a stubborn Polak.
Absolutely a stubborn Polak. My dad goes over, and he changes. And it wasn't that far off time-wise from when my grandmother passed, so he moves it to 4:42. And had to call hospice, because at that point they have to declare that she passed. So we're there waiting for hospice to come. My sister and I go in the other room. Nurse shows up about like 45 minutes to an hour later, and we're just sitting there in the living room. My dad's talking to the nurse, going through everything. The clock goes off. Dong, dong. At 6 o'clock.
No one wound it. It was.
It scared the shit out of us. My dad and my mom never
That
wound
thing
that
hasn't
thing
gone off in
since my
over a
grandparents
decade.
passed.
Wow.
And it scared the shit out of us, and it scared the nurse, the hospice nurse. And
What do you think it was? Was it mom trying to connect, or like?
did my mom pass over? Did she fully pass over?
That's wow. That would have freaked me out if I would have, knowing that.
It was a long 6 days. So let me just tell you this. We never put the TV on once. We talked by her bedside the whole entire time.
I remember when you were going through that.
Telling stories we never heard of before.
Yeah.
Some good, some bad. It was crazy leading up to that point, and it was raining over the weekend when and stuff, and I put on Engelbert Humperdinck for her, and I put it by her. I was sitting there with her, and I put on. She loved Engelbert Humperdinck, and I put it on, and the craziest thing was, that one Saturday I just sat in there and we just had it on, and I went to go leave the day she passed, and I get in my car and I plug in my phone. I'm drained. This is the worst. I would never want anybody to ever go through that for their parents, to be there by their bedside. But for 6 days, it was crazy. I was drained. I was done, because I just wanted her to be better.
Sure.
And I plug in my car, and I plug in my phone into the car, and it the last waltz from Engelbert Humperdinck comes on. And the picture that I have, that I always remember my mom and me, was me dancing with her in my grandfather's basement and at my wedding. And I cried like a little boy when I was dancing with my mom at my wedding. And I remembered that song came on as soon as I was leaving, that song came in the middle. Now, I think, Granted, it was probably because I was done playing Engelbert 4 and I stopped it. I don't remember what song I ended on, but it picked up in the middle.
Wow.
The last waltz of the song by Engelbert Humperdinck he sang. And that's my memory of my mom that I always remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wrote, during that time frame, I wrote my mom's eulogy those 6 days, and I never said anything. I never talked about that. I didn't think I was going to do a eulogy for my mom. I did it because I felt like that was, that time frame of being with my mom and getting all the stories and doing everything and family coming over and sharing stories. That's weird for that to happen. And then I get in my car and I put that in, and I just felt like it was my mom talking to me, just saying, it's okay.
Yeah.
That was the always thing. I didn't tell anybody. I remembered that dance with my mom when I was a kid in the basement with my grandparents, and then at my wedding. I never told anybody. And that song comes on, the friggin' grandfather clock goes off.
Where is the grandfather clock?
It's at my dad's.
It's still
has
there.
It ever?
No, it hasn't went off since that time.
Wow.
So then I'm thinking to myself, could it because he moved the handle and it somewhat wound it? I just find that really weird that it hit.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's weird. That's weird.
But to me, it's not scary. It's unexplainable.
You can't explain it.
It's something I'll always hold to my heart and hold dear. I don't really have any interactions with, do I believe in ghosts? Of course, I believe in some things related to apparitions and ghosts, and my mother-in-law's God. There's so many stories that she could probably tell. I wish she was here.
Yeah.
She goes to seances and talks to people on the other side. She tries to go that route as well. But yeah, that's my
Okay. Appreciate
one
you sharing
story,
that
yeah.
with us, Danny C.
Yeah, not
know that's-
quite on that level, but I had it was, I don't know, a couple weeks after Charlie passed, and somebody stopped by, and anybody who's ever come to my house, it's a modest size. It's like 1,200 feet in all, so it's enough for a starter family type thing and all, but they're not huge rooms by a long shot. So you have my living room and then the dining room right next door, right next to it. And so anybody who's ever come to hang out at my house, somehow everybody knows I ramble and babble, but yeah, if somebody's visiting, it'll always start off like sitting on the couch, and then I'll start going on some kind of ramble, and then I'll just instinctively I'll like stand up, and then I'll kind of walk over towards the dining room, which is only a couple feet away from the sofa, and then I would just, and I'd be all animated and like fucking ranting and doing all, being the twitchy fuck I am. So I was probably going on a rant about everything going on at the time. And my house was built 84, 85, so it's an older house. The chandelier I have in the dining room was a housewarming gift, so that's like 20 years old. I don't even remember the last time I changed the bulbs or anything. So sometimes, and it's on a dimmer switch, and I don't think they're dimmer bulbs. So sometimes if I have those lights on dim, they'll like randomly flicker a little here and there, and it's like, yeah, I should really do that the proper way. But so I'm standing on my soapbox or whatever, going on some kind of rambling rant about something, and all of a sudden was like, "Did you see that?" And I'm like, "No, what?" And it was the light like flickered, and I'm like, "Yeah, it does that." And like, no, it turned off for like a second or two and then came back on. I'm thinking, if I'm standing like at the doorway between the two rooms, like, how the fuck did I not notice a light that's like right behind me? Guess like how I didn't notice a chain moving behind me.
But
Uh-huh.
I did.
And I was, fuck you. That's what it is when I babble. I fucking face the wrong way. But it was like, oh, okay, that was weird. Like, it was a distinct, like, it didn't, like, originally came up like, oh, it flickered. But no, it was like it turned off and then turned on. And I was like, how did I fucking miss that? And then all of a sudden I hear from the kitchen, the only way I could explain it, it's as if, like, you got dishes in the drain board and, like, somebody just went and, like, shifted one of the plates. Not like a huge, what, you know, like no jump scare or anything, but it was like, at that moment, like, it was like, okay, what the hell happened with the lights? And then you just hear, like I said, it was like someone took a plate and, like, put in a different slot in the drain board.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, that's really fucking weird. Like, it was such a random sound. So, of course, I waited 5 minutes because I'm not that kind of psychopath. And then I went into the kitchen, turned the light on. I forgot. I already did the dishes. Everything was put away. So there was nothing in the drain board. And even then, it was like, you know, I'm a bachelor, so I got the plastic plates. I don't have, like, nice ceramic plates, but it sounded like a ceramic plate being moved around. I was like, what the fuck? Another similar thing, a couple years ago for Christmas, like 2 or 3 years ago for Christmas, he's always been fascinated with, especially like every year when we went camping, we would always go to Walmart to the camping section. He would always want to pick up like a new toy to take. And there was a couple years where he was obsessed with finding the brightest flashlight he could. He's like, I want to find the ultimate with the highest lumens. And I was like, all right, yeah, I'm all in. So, yeah, like I said, it might have been like 2 years ago for Christmas. I'm like, you know what? I went online because at this time I'm seeing all these ads on like Facebook and shit for military grade. It's practically a laser beam, and you know you could blind the sun with this flashlight.
Sharks with freaking laser beams.
You could run it over with a 2-ton truck.
So and it looked like a fucking baton, like one of those big ass ones. But I went and picked it up. I got it for him for Christmas, and he was fucking obsessed with it. Well, that I had him like. He had Christmas morning with his mom, and then he came over to my house for a couple hours and then did dinner and all that shit. So one of the tree ornaments I had, it was like a little disco ball. I saw, and it was like, all right, from the 70s, I got to have a disco ball on my Christmas tree. So, but he was trying to figure out different things to do with this flashlight. So now he's going on the tree to see which ornament gets the best reflection. Then he found the disco ball, and he was like, oh, check this out. So it got to the point where it was like, all right, you know what? I'm just taking it off the tree. So I took a thumbtack, and I hung it from the center of my living room. So it's like this little tiny thing. Yeah, my little fucking rave and all. So he was like spinning it and putting it up there, and it fucking blinded us. All these little tiny reflections and all. So... And partly being white trash, but, then it got to the point where it was like, oh, well, that was, he was the reason that went up there in the first place, so now I can't take it down. So this was probably February, maybe, and I'm just hanging out in the living room and probably watching some dumb Tubi grade horror movie, and I just thought I caught something out of the corner of my eye. And then I'm just like looking around. And then I look up, and the fucking disco balls, it just started rocking a little bit, and then it stopped. And anybody I've ever told that to, they were like, oh, well, it was winter, so of course the heat was on and it was probably blowing it. But the vents are like behind the sofa. Like,
and this is on the ceiling?
Yeah, it's in the center of my living room.
Yeah, no, that's no bad.
And it's what and it did it a couple times over the course of a week. And then the one time I finally decided, like, oh yeah, maybe I should take video of this so people will believe me. It was moving, but it was like very subtle that time. But there was one time, not like a violent, like the fucking light as the poltergeist house was imploding, that little but it was like a very noticeable rock to it. Like even if it was one of the heater vents blowing on it, it wouldn't have had that kind of power to move it that much. And yeah, it's just little things like that. And I remember, actually, it was that first time when the lights flickered and then the dish moved. I remember like calming down enough, and it was just like, all right, I gotta go to the bathroom. So I usually use the upstairs bathroom, and I go up there, and I just decided to sit down, and I'm like, all right, dude, because again, this was only like 2 or 3 weeks after he passed.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting on the toilet like this, and actually start having the conversation out loud. I'm like, dude, I said, if this is you, like, awesome. I know you're my kid. So, of course, some part of you is going to be compelled to fuck with me. I said, but it's too soon. I said, if you're here, by all means, let me know. But don't fuck with me. My heart is in no position for this right now. And then, like, afterwards, when I went downstairs, I'm like, did I just have that conversation out loud? Like I said, until the little disco ball thing a couple weeks to a month later, like nothing else. But yeah, so it's all. I just realized you guys got the like, oh yeah, I was fucking with a Ouija board and I saw a ghost in a window and went down this haunted road, and me and Danny are like, yeah, so someone really close to me died. That sucked. But some creepy shit happened.
Well, we knew going into this episode,
we're
right?
a bunch of downer fucking Polacks.
No. We knew going into so for our listeners out there, when we were talking about doing this episode, that was one of the things where, like, Joe and I, we had stories that we wanted to kind of tell, and you guys were like, really don't have that much. So.
I remember when you first brought it up, I feel like all of us were like, yeah, let's do this.
And they were like, what the fuck are we going to talk about?
And then I'm like halfway home, like that after recording that night, I was just like,
sounded good.
My life is fucking boring. Like I said, except for those, I'm just going to pretend like going down that hiking trail that we saw like either a minotaur or a fucking demon running down the fucking creek.
We all go through things like there's always something that's unexplained, whether it's something you see or something you hear or something's like, nah, that just can't be, that should not be there, or that sound should not be coming from it's just we all.
I'll tell you about something.
And all you people at home, tell us your stories.
Yeah, please do.
I'll tell you something unnerving though that freaked me out, but I didn't have any, interactions. But during I worked at a hospital. I was a director of clinical engineering. So during Sandy, I had to stay there at the hospital to make sure that the equipment was working and everything. So, shit was going down with Sandy, losing power, things like that. We had an emergency command center and stuff we had to report into. But I had to stay there, but there wasn't any rooms available. So I was just like, I'll just get a bed and, stay down in the office of the shop. It's in the basement. So I go up to go get one of the beds, and EVS is like, "Oh yeah, just when you get down there, we'll make it up for you so you can sleep downstairs." And I've never slept at a hospital before, all these years. But then Sandy's a different story.
Yeah.
So I go up to go get this bed. It's on the 3rd floor. It's an empty shell. I'm going back down. The elevator gets stuck.
Oh jeez.
Lights are flickering and everything. I'm like, oh fuck. So I'm stuck on this elevator. And I'm calling a director of maintenance. I'm like, dude, get me the fuck off of here. Like, I don't, he's like, yeah, we're trying.
This shit's great in a movie, but.
I was just like, oh,
this ain't the Elisa Lamb story here. Get me off this fucker.
So I finally, it's like 15, 20 minutes. I'm stuck on the elevator. They finally get it to a floor. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to a different set of elevators where you got the generator working better and stuff. So I get the bed down there. I get it made up. I'm down there. The fucking power goes out in the building, the part of the building I'm in. So for like an hour and a half, I'm down there, no lights.
Oh, fuck that.
In the basement of the hospital.
Yeah.
In the oldest part of the hospital.
That would have been a problem for me.
We all talk a good game, but
Oh yeah, listen, I'd be a chicken shit, man. I talk a good game.
Where
but
was
you
I
put
going to
me in
go?
that
What was I going to
situation,
do? Because I was just like,
I'm like a little fucking fetal position.
it's either you think logically or you have the heart attack.
But then your mind is a powerful thing, right? It's going to play tricks on you. So
Yes.
if you're thinking,
Unless you're
something,
Rick
it's a-
James, then
Yeah.
cocaine's.
you're going to start like
That's why you enjoyed Skinamarink.
yes, and there it is. Joe just figured it out. Dave, we have our justification.
It's the circle of life.
Well,
Circle.
oh yeah, no more singing. It's too late for me to sing. Guys, good episode.
Hold on.
Oh,
I have one. It's more so unexplainable. And it kind of blends in with sports too, which we do a lot here as well. So I remember vividly, it was 2001. It was the World Series, the Yankees and the Diamondbacks. The night before the game, I guess I dreamt it. I remember vividly as if I was going on my computer, going to Yahoo Sports. Because we would play fantasy leagues back then. We would always use Yahoo Sports. And I go on, and it was weird because I'm looking at like the Yahoo Sports thing, and off to the side it says Arizona 3, Yankees 2, Arizona wins series 4-3. Now this is in my dream because when I woke up I remembered it vividly. I'm like, what the hell? So the problem is with that.
So you called your
games-
bookie.
I wish. So Game 7 hadn't happened yet. So that day, of course, my mom grew up in the Bronx. She's a huge Yankee fan. So we watched the game together, and I believe it was Soriano hit a home run to go up 2-1 in like the 7th inning.
Oh,
And
Philly.
and she was hyped. And I said, the Diamondbacks are going to win. She's like, no, don't say that. I said, they're going to win 3-2. She's like, what are you talking about? I said, they're going to win 3-2. We know how the game progresses. Gonzalez gets the hit, 3-2. And in that moment, even though I said it, I didn't think it was that. And it was bizarre because, like, the following day, go on Yahoo Sports, and I see the exact same thing I saw the day prior. And now throughout the years,
It's like deja vu.
I did have, like, other times where, like, maybe a UFC fight, and it was, I mean, I wish I could go to sleep, like, who's going to win this fight or something like that, but it was just bizarre. Like, I remember that one vividly because it was so me seeing the score, everything. Like, I can understand I have a dream, Mike Tyson's going to knock out this guy or whatever, but this one, like, I remember in my dream going on to Yahoo Sports, seeing the score, everything, and then it happening. And, like, there was one in the Super Bowl, too. It was when the Saints played the Colts. And the only thing I remembered in the dream was seeing, like, Sean Payton on the sideline, like, going crazy. And I don't remember the exact score, but I think it was, like, I saw, like, Colts had 17, I believe.
Was this the onside kick?
It might have been, but it was the one where Tracy Porter gets the pick six.
yeah.
And, the Saints win. And my buddy and I actually had a bet there, so I did make money that time. But we had already had the bet in prior to me having a dream. And, yeah, it was...
can you dream some fucking lottery numbers, dude?
I wish.
Dream
I
like the fucking...
I mean, there were times where, like, I thought about this before going to sleep and then
Wow,
woke up
that's-
the next morning and then couldn't even remember any dream I had. But those...
Was that Yankee? That was the World Series, right?
It was
That was
2001.
Was it one or who played in
one.
2003?
The Marlins and the Yankees.
That was the Marlins and the Yankees.
think.
Was it Luis Gonzalez? Because that was when I got married
Yeah.
in October of 2003, and I got in trouble because they were looking to cut the fucking cake. And I was nowhere to be found. I was actually at the bar watching the World Series, and my wife was pissed at me.
They might have had Alex
Who wa-
Gonzalez,
oh,
I believe.
It was.
It was Miguel Cabrera. Alex Gonzalez, was he the...
Who was? So I remember. Yeah, it must. Gonzalez's walk-off home. Yeah. Okay, so Gonzalez played. All right. Yeah. So that was.
Yeah, Gonzalez
12th
hit a
inning,
walk-off
yeah.
homer in Game 4.
Yeah, October 25th, right there. Go up, Danny. Dates, October 25th, 2003. That was the day I got married. So I was watching the baseball game when everybody was looking for me to cut the fucking cake. My wife's waiting there at the cake. Everybody, DJ, everybody, where the fuck is John? And they found me at the bar watching the Yankee World Series, just hoping as a Met fan that the fucking Yankees would lose.
You're probably happy as fuck.
Oh, I was so happy. I fucking cut that cake with
They were
with juice.
They were the underdog.
But
And even then, she's just kind of like, what the fuck did I get?
I was so much.
Well, as long as he doesn't start spending thousands of dollars on horror shit.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't have YOLO moments with his fucking self-proclaimed horror nerds. And, here we are.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
That was fun,
Yeah,
guys.
now we're
I agree.
distracted by baseball.
That was fun. That was fun.
Fucking
I
balls.
think we need to...
But yeah, good call there, JC.
Yeah, this was cool. Like I said, just kind of talking about shit that we experienced. But I like to experience more,
Yes.
and I would love to do a fucking ghost.
All right, so
Yeah.
I mean,
come.
there's got to be a million of them around this area. One
Yes.
night, when I'm in this area, we just get tickets or we go, and
We'll have to go see the Burnt Mill Ghost.
let's go do it, man. Let's
For sure.
Let's see if we could, for next for our next episode where we talk about experiences. maybe
Coming
we'll
in
have some new
June,
shit.
the Excellent Day crew is going to have a seance right here. Live stream.
Well,
We each
guys,
get our own personal Ouija board.
Yeah,
Nah, fuck that.
no.
I
don't
think
bring-
I'll be divorced and I'll be kicked out of this house if we bring any of that.
no
shit
no
here.
Ouija
I'm
boards.
just-
I will not.
Yeah.
will not be
What's
around.
going to
Saying.
happen sooner? I touch a Ouija board again, or I sit through Skinamarink?
I think you'll touch a Ouija
I think
board.
you'll touch the board again.
Nah. I may sit through that one last time instead.
Hey, if our listeners out there, right, just we love hearing from you guys as well. If you got a creepy story, I mean, by all means, our buddy Dave here will tell you how to.
Yeah, hit us up on the
Communicate.
socials. Email us. Well, at the end of this, you'll hear where to go for all that
We'll
shit.
go that spiel. Stay
Yeah.
creepy. Sleep well tonight,
Yeah.
gentlemen.
Fuck,
I
Wow.
always
fuck
think,
you
wow.
guys.
Yeah.
Fuck Skinamarink.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Fuck it.
No more nightmare fuel.
Could you imagine?
You've been listening to What an Excellent Day for a Podcast, where we use the number 4 to save you time. Check out our entire catalog at excellentdayforapodcast.com. Also on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Audible, and everywhere else you listen to podcasts. Have a question? Email us at excellentdayforapodcast@gmail.com.
But guys, I want to interact on social media.
Excellent.
See what we did there?
Follow us on Twitter at ExcellentDay4A. Otherwise, search for What an Excellent Day for a Podcast to get our Facebook page, our group page, Instagram, YouTube, and our newly launched Twitch channel. Come say hello, share them all,